on this beautiful Wednesday morning, the second day in the month of September 2020. Hope so far your morning is going well. Those who are in traffic heading to work, be safe out there. Check your speed. And we want you to arrive alive. We're one day before the general elections. And right now, we're inside of a special hour brought to you this morning by Law Insurance Brokers. One call for all insurance. You can get Law Insurance Brokers today and have them solve your insurance needs by calling them on 876-968-1100. The hour between 8 and 9 this morning is sponsored by Law Insurance Brokers. And it's now time for what we call Real Estate Today. This is how we kick off this hour. Real Estate Today is sponsored by Howard Johnson Realty Limited of unit number 15, Ligonier Post Mall in Kingston 6. The topic we're looking at today inside of Real Estate Today is from renting to home ownership. And now, let me just give you a quick background before I introduce my guests. We all desire somewhere to call our own. And in the recent political debates, we have noticed the issue of access to home ownership and housing being raised several times. So, how can individuals transition from renting to owning their own homes? That is on our mind, and that is why we have the topic from renting to home ownership. And we're joined this morning by Howard Johnson Jr. from Howard Johnson Realty Limited. Good morning, Howard. How are you, sir?
I'm not too bad. And yourself?
Not too bad at all. I take it that by now you're up, awake, alive, and kicking?
Hey, Richard, yes, I am up and kicking, and I am awake.
All right. I'm happy to have you say that publicly. And welcome once again, Howard. We're also joined by a repeat guest, Mr. Dwayne Burbick. He is the Corporate and Public Affairs Manager at the National Housing Trust. He's with us. Morning, Dwayne. How are you today?
A pleasant morning to you, Richie. I'm doing well, thank you. And a pleasant morning to you, Howard, as well, and to all your listeners.
Yes, morning, Dwayne.
All right, and there are many here in Jamaica and further afield all over the world listening to us right now. So this is Real Estate Today. And Dwayne, since we have you on, we want to ask you the first question. What is the process of applying for an NHT loan?
Well, before we get to a loan application, we have to look at eligibility, and there are a couple of things that the NHT looks at. Firstly, that you're between the ages of 18 and 70, and we recently had that change. We previously were 18 to 65. We've now extended our borrowing arrangements to individuals up to the age of 70. And you're a current contributor, meaning that you're paying your NHT contributions and that you've paid NHT contributions for at least a year. Once we've satisfied that, then we get into, the loan application process, where we're, of course, looking for demographic information. We have to ensure that Dwayne is Dwayne and Dwayne is not going as John or some other name. And based on the type of loan that you are taking, the documents you will be required to submit will vary, but just to let persons know, you have to have a sale agreement if you're doing an open market purchase. You must have your valuation report, and you must have your surveyor's ID report. And if you're doing construction, then we look at you having a registered title and having a building plan that's approved by the parish council. There may be additional documents depending on the loan type. In this COVID era, we're not doing much face-to-face interaction, so individuals can always start their loan application process online, and then we will just ask them to come in once to do an interview and to sign the necessary documents.
Okay. I'm interested to find out what of self-employed individuals seeking to buy a home?
We don't treat them any differently, Richard. It's the same loan application process. It's the same eligibility criteria between the ages of 18 and 70, and you must be contributing to the NHT for at least a year. The difference being, though, with self-employed persons, they make their NHT contributions on a quarterly basis vis-a-vis PAYE contributors who their NHT contributions are deducted monthly and paid over monthly. So we look for at least two recent quarterly payments from the self-employed individual before we as a prerequisite for satisfying the conditions for getting a loan from the NHT.
The topic is from renting to home ownership. I'm going to bring in Howard at this point. Howie, is there an ideal time to purchase your home? If so, when and why?
Yes, there is, Richie, and the answer to the latter part is no, and it's because you need to own your own home, as the why. As Dwayne mentioned, there are many options for purchasing, and NHT is usually at the core of that, and not just NHT, but if you're banking and have established a good record with your commercial bank, they also partner with NHT to give more than what the maximum is from NHT. And therefore, if you are in that position where you can afford and you have aspirations of ownership, yes, you can explore no longer paying rent and seeing what can be done with that rental monies to be converted to a mortgage or contribute towards mortgage. And this way, you're now pumping monies into your own asset as opposed to someone else's asset. And although we're in the election climate, yes, you would see from the discussions taking place now that both parties or major parties are committing to additional units being placed on the market, whether it's 70,000 or 130. There will be additional units being placed on the market based on those commitments. So you would want to start to put yourself in a position, even before the election outcome, to try to get one of those units. And I think the first thing you need to do is to establish that relationship with NHT so that you can get the most out of your savings that you have been contributing to.
Okay. Dwayne, there's obviously enough land available why the politicians, I suspect, can make those kinds of pronouncements. Land is not an issue, I'm sure, is it?
I like my job in Richie.
Let me move to my next question. I want to focus on the joint application. Is that any easier than applying a loan?
Well, I think with Howard touched a point, it really comes down most times to purchasing power and being able to undertake a mortgage with two incomes versus one is always going to be easier. Not to say that people sometimes people say, we're forcing them into a corner where they have to co-apply with someone. No, you don't have to. Institutions like NHT have 100% financing available. So if it is that your income can carry the entire mortgage, then the NHT will make that available to you. That is for NHT schemes specifically. But if we look across the commercial banking landscape as well, you see other institutions who offer 100% financing, 95% financing. All of this, of course, though, is subject to affordability. So a critical part of the discussion always must be financial literacy. You must go to the market knowing what are the realities of the market, knowing what you can afford, which is why conversations like these and programs like these are pretty useful because, they help persons to move away from some of the myths and the misconceptions about home ownership, and so they go into the process very aware and very informed and can make the best decision that's available to them.
Thank you, Dwayne. Here's another one for you, Howie. How can first-time homeowners ensure that they're getting value for their money?
They need to speak to their realtor who would have knowledge of the marketplace, and whenever it is that they have identified a property, they should ensure that they're doing their comparables to make sure that they're not paying too much for the property, because that will ultimately come out during the application, whether it's with NHT exclusively or with your commercial bank by way of a valuation. But before you actually embark on make your deposit and no needing to do the valuation, you can certainly speak to your realtor to ensure that the asking price for this property is within range of what the area is commanding, and you don't want to overlook that, and you don't want to pay too much more or more than what you have to pay in any particular community. There are times when you will see a unique property and it has a particular feature that will be ideal for you or your family, and you may look to pay a little bit more, but you can't pay more than what this will actually be worth. down the road because you may not recoup that money in the event that you have to sell. So always ensure that you're in dialogue with your realtor to ensure that you're getting value for money based on the properties that you have selected.
All right. We're going off into the tip of the day, but before I get to that, I have to ask Dwayne this one. Dwayne, how is the home purchasing process, being made easier considering the changing social climate at this time?
Happy to answer. I touched on one before, better financing arrangements. NHT offering 100% financing for NHT schemes, no deposit required, just $3,500 servicing fee if you've been selected for an NHT unit, and the keys are yours. I think that's groundbreaking and that's transformational. We're making home ownership easy as concerned. And looking at interest rates generally, which have trended downwards, where we're seeing NHT as low as 0%, as high as 4%, and looking at other mortgage institutions, their rates average around 7%. And as I mentioned again, some of them offering 100% financing as well. And a big ticket one is the adjustments as it relates to some of the fees associated with purchasing the home, which sometimes individuals can find the mortgage on a monthly basis, but those upfront fees sometimes can make or break the transaction. So we've been seeing in the last year a cut in the stamp duty and transfer tax, which are two fees associated with purchase, and those have been lowered significantly. And that kind of arrangement, where better financing is concerned and more financial education, great realtors like Howard being in the market, sharing the information, I think put all that in the pot, and I think home ownership has been made easier and simpler for many, many Jamaicans.
All right, thank you. Let's get to the tip of the day now, Howie.
Yes, the home purchasing process can be very hectic. Relieve yourself of that stress and contact the National Housing Trust to help you fund your dream home today.
All right, that's our tip of the day. Now to the deal on the edge. Howie, you've got it?
Yes, sir. Make this lovely gem your home today. This 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom property is ideally located in Queensbury, Kingston, and is in close proximity to many essential business places. It features a master suite, linen closet, a study, many fruit trees, and it is very pet-friendly. And it is also move-in ready today. We're asking you to contact Sybil Harvey for this 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom home, 876-382-9930. And we are asking $150,000 per month for this property. Sybil Harvey, 876-382-9930.
All right. Good luck with that, Sybil. Should not take you long to part with that one. How can you be contacted?
Unit 15, Legany Post Mall, 115 Hope Road, Kingston 6. Call our offices at 876-620-1457. Visit our website at hjrealtors.com, and you can also find us on social media using the name HJ Realtors, and you will see us on social media. So thank you very much for that.
All right. Dwayne, I want to thank you for your time and the information you shared this morning once again. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you. Always a pleasure, and you have a great one as well.
Thank you. And Howie, thanks as always, my brother, for sponsoring and participating in Real Estate Today. Have a good day.
You too, and keep safe.
You too, my brother. All right, that was, of course, Real Estate Today. It was courtesy of Howard Johnson Realty Limited. And we had Howard Johnson Jr. and Dwayne Burbick as our guests this morning. Dwayne Burbick, Corporate and Public Relations, Public Affairs Manager at the NHT, and Howard Johnson of Howard Johnson Realty. Our time is now 14 minutes after the hour of 8 o'clock, and we'll be right back with much more here on Top of the Morning on The Edge, 105 FM.